Hi, I'm Sheila from Seaside Snuggles Quilts, Patterns, and Crafts, where I focus mainly on quilts, but will craft anything that tickles my fancy. Today, though, I am asking for your feedback. So I recently got monetized and it immediately put a lot of pressure on me, and I don't know how to handle it. I want to make videos. My plan is to focus on YouTube for 2024, but I don't want the main purpose to be monetary, even though I'm very glad to be monetized. Quilting is a creative outlet for me, and I find a lot of joy in it, and I don't want that to change. But the format for making videos is kind of one where you have like this neat little package of a quilt that's started and finished in the same video. And I'm finding that I just can't do that. So I'm either considering doing a blog format or just breaking my videos up into multiple parts. And I wanted to know what you thought of that. So in order for you to give me some good feedback, I need to give you some information. First of all, my plans for this year are to make several quilts and small products. My goal would be to have one large quilt done, one small project using quilting, and a just talking to you video or product review, something of that sort, where I'm just talking to you and building our community, right? A month. So that would be 3 videos a month with a possibility of 4. But my creative process isn't linear. So I don't start a project and then complete it in one go before starting another project. I start a project, I take some time to look at it, think about where I want to go with it, because I don't exactly know how it's going to end until the end. And I enjoy that. So I don't want to change that. While I'm thinking about where I want to go with one quilt, I will start another quilt. And so it seems very scattered. But what I'm thinking of doing is to just work the way I work, do it as a vlog, and then when a project is complete, it'll all be in a playlist for you if you're interested in that. If that's something that you would be interested in, I would like to know. Also, tutorials versus just kind of show and tell. When I do a tutorial, it is long, and I know that that's not something that everybody is interested in. So I'm considering just basically doing a this is what I did video to keep it more condensed, and then maybe have an offering of a tutorial in a membership tier. I don't know how many of those I can do a year, which is part of why I have not opened up my memberships. I am able to do that according to YouTube, but I don't want to do a membership where I don't have something concrete to offer and know that I can deliver on those offerings. So when I do have that locked down, I will offer memberships. I appreciate your interest, and please stay interested, because whatever it is, I think will be good. Well, of course it'll be good. It will be good. If you have suggestions for things that you would like in a membership, let me know. Things I'm considering are like full-length tutorials available to upper tier memberships, maybe quilt giveaway for lower tier memberships, maybe a pattern every other month or something like that. Just let me know. I'm open to ideas. My goals for this year, which are part of what's going to make this difficult, are lofty. So there are several quilts that I want to make, and not necessarily as a tutorial, because it'll be my first time making it, just to share what I did to make it and the pitfalls, the successes, and how it turns out. So one of the things that I'm going to make is this quilt. So this is my Hugs and Kisses quilt. I don't have the pattern in the store yet. This quilt itself is available for sale, but I'm working on right now the video to show you how to make the interior portion of this quilt in a throw size. I don't know how the outside's going to end up, but we'll see. So the next video you'll probably see from me is going to be the blocks that are the components of this quilt, and then maybe one after that, shortly thereafter, me finishing the quilt. Because the only reason I haven't finished the quilt is because I haven't figured out how I want to present the process, and that's giving me a hard time. Also, making videos is okay. Editing videos, I don't enjoy at all. I don't enjoy at all. And it takes me forever. It takes me as long to edit a video as it does to make the quilt. And so that's why I need to change something around. So you're either going to get a less edited video or a shorter video, or and shorter meaning it's not going to be a tutorial, because the tutorials are long, but I can show you, you know, pop, 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 this is what I did, and then you can try to figure it out. Just whatever feedback that you have would be very helpful. I will take all suggestions into consideration, but I reserve the right not to use any of them if I just can't make them work. So that's that. All right, so that's me waffling on about what I want to do and where I need your help with the channel. What I'm going to make this year, whether I record it or not, is the throw size Hugs and Kisses quilt that I'm working on right now, which is great for Valentine's Day, though I'm not sure I'm going to get the video out in time for you to make one for Valentine's Day. I think you'll have enough time. Definitely for Mother's Day. Very cute quilt for Mother's Day. My Arabesque quilt is a pattern that I have in the store, and I'm going to make another one of those. I'm going to make it for my niece, another one of my nieces. The first one I made for a niece, my great niece. And I want to do that one so that I can show people some of the tough parts, maybe the confusing parts in the pattern, so that I can explain them and show you how to get it together. So for that one, I'm not going to give any numbers because it is a pattern for sale in the store, but it will be a really good supplement if you've purchased the pattern to help you to make it. My Moroccan Tiles quilt is actually a design that I made before the Arabesque quilt, and I will pop that up here. I've made it several times, and how I make that is very similar to the Arabesque quilt, and I just like making it, and I have some fabric that I want to use to make it, so I'll be making that as well. I'll pop those up so you can see some of the Arabesque quilts that I've made, and the Moroccan Tiles, or the Arabesque quilt that I made, and some of the Moroccan tile quilts that I've made. I want to do a African Queen quilt. I got some fabric specifically to do that. I'm very excited about doing that. I'm probably going to work on that next month. I want to do a Halloween quilt, of course, when that comes around, a Christmas quilt when that comes around. And I made quilts for a couple of friends that I just refer to by their names right now. And that's Julie's quilt and Gypsy's quilt. My friend Julie, I made this quilt for her wedding, and I want to do this quilt in another colorway, so I'll be recording that. Gypsy's quilt was for my friend Gypsy, and I love her so much. That quilt did not turn out the way I wanted on the back, so I'm probably going to make her another quilt in a different style just so she has another quilt, but she accepted it as a messed up gift anyway, and like, that's how you accept a quilt. She's just wonderful. But this is the quilt that I made for her, and I would like to make this in another colorway. There's a couple of other quilts that I don't have in the store, but I've made several of, which this woven style quilt I've made a couple of times. But I want to make some designs that I have not made yet, and I just have a lot of things that I would like to show you, and I just don't know how to show you. So if you have any suggestions, I would greatly appreciate it in the comments below. If you have already subscribed and you haven't hit the notification bell, I encourage you to use the notification bell, because I don't know how regularly, what interval my videos will come out. And so as I learn how to video edit, they'll come out faster, but the learning curve is pretty steep for me because I get locked on the details and not just getting a video out. So I appreciate your subscription. I suggest the notification bell, and I would love to have you return and maybe join my community when I set up memberships. Also, I'm probably going to put a poll in the community tab if you want to answer that way instead of commenting down below, if I can figure it out. Before I leave, I just want to give you a little tour of this quilt, and I will pop the details up over here somewhere so that you can see it, because I'm very proud of this quilt. I have had this listed in the store for quite some time. The individual blocks are the heart block and the O block, and then there's a section of the X here, and I'll show you how to put this all together. These rows, or you're going to put it together in columns, but the columns don't line up across the top. You'll have to make a decision on how you want to finish the top and the bottom, and we'll go over that in the next 2 videos. I think it'll be maybe 1 video. Let me know if you want this in 2 videos or 1 video. Then after I got this done, I free motion quilted it, and maybe I'll do some free motion quilting stuff as well, just not to teach anybody because I'm not that great at it, but just to show you, you know, what I use and how I do it. But I did some continuous circles in the X's. I left the hearts pretty much plain, though the stitching is on the hearts themselves to secure it. I did just straight line quilting across the O's. I did this lovely bump back feather design with hearts that you can't see that I'm touching right now, but I'll put it over here in the border. The borders I just made with leftover fabric. So I usually in my process will have a design for the center of the quilt, and then when I get that center finished, when I've decided I'm finished with the center and I like the way everything looks, then I'll decide based on how much fabric I have left how I want to finish it as in terms of borders, or if I want to put a border on it all. So for this one, I decided to give it a little breathing room with a 3-inch border, followed by a 1-inch border of what I like to call chiclets, which is just 1-inch squares, and followed by a 3/4 of an inch spacer and seminal piecing of a heart design, which is, you can find all over Pinterest, but I'll show you how to do that if you're interested. That's another thing to add to the list. There's some borders. Followed by another 3/4 of an inch spacer, another 1-inch round of chiclets. You remember chiclets, the gum? That's why I call them chiclets. And that's part of why I call them chiclets. I'll tell you another story about that later. Followed by a 2-inch band with more free motion quilting, and it's just loop-de-loops with a heart design between the loop-de-loops, and they have like a little 3-petal blossom in there, 3-petal bud in the design. So you can probably see that right here, because I'm going to take some still pictures to show you, to take you on the tour around this quilt. And the back is just this background color, solid color. So you could use it as a whole cloth quilt if you want to flip it over. The scrappiness of it, this design leads very easily to a scrappy quilt. So if you have a fat quarter bundle, this works great for the fat quarter bundle. When I get the pattern for this in the store, you'll find cutting instructions for fat quarters. that will allow you to get up to 6 motifs per fat quarter, sort of, per group of fat quarter. For example, the heart, you have parts of the X, you have the heart, and you have part of the background on there. So if you have a background fat quarter, a background fat quarter, an X fat quarter, and a heart fat quarter, you will get up to 6 heart blocks from that combination, if that makes sense. Same thing with the O's. So for this quilt here, I actually have 2 different fabrics for the X's. I don't recommend that. It makes things far more complicated if you're doing a scrappy quilt. Just keep your scrappy parts in the hearts and the O's. Keep your X's all the same color. They don't touch one another, so it'll make your life far, far easier. The quilt that we're gonna work on for 2024, the first one is going to be in that configuration. Sort of. I'm only going to use 2 colors for the O's, 2 colors for the hearts, and 1 color for the X, and then the background color. So that's super easy. Even easier than that is just using 1 color for all the O's, 2 colors for the hearts, 1 color for the background, 1 color for the X. And you can make all of your blocks kind of repeat. And that's the absolute easiest way to do this. But it's not a long distance to make it scrappy if you just do the hearts and the O's scrappy. All right. I just wanted to check in with you, make a short video, ask you some questions, hope for some feedback, and I will see you in the next video where we start working on this Hugs and Kisses quilt. So, Happy New Year. Can't wait to see how this wild ride goes. See you later.